Shubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Menteri Rangba Kejala Ukanrat Sangma Hanin Kesngi Ula Batai Benya Hakabede Bat Katanat Puli Puthi Hakajala Kumba Kapau Kejala Meghalaya Kadi Kejala Kababun Tam Kiskul Kadon Haduk Katsau Hajar Sanspa Prapu Arteli Ladai Nujor Bat Kejala Tripura Kadon Sau Hajar Kandai Spa Arp Kandai Teli Kemanipur Kadon Sau Hajar Hindu Spa Kat Nyo Teli Kanagalan Kadon Ar Hajar Hanyo Spa Kat Prateli Ka Arunachal Pradesh Kadon Lai Hajar Hindu Spa Lai Teli Bat Mizoram Kadon Lai Hajar Kandai Spa Katway Teli Haba Pensyong Norim Naka Khynnah Samari Jong Usnam Ar Hajar Katway Menteri Rangba Kejala Ukanrat Ke Sangma Ulaong Bana Kejingbun Kiskul Kawanra Kejingbun Ru Kinong Hikai Kata Nadu Sanpusan Hajar Shispa Handu Paungun Bat kini Kiskul Ki Kentup Ru Hanyo Hajar Hanyo Spa Prapulai Teli Ki Badai Pej Pura Daka Sorkar Bat Sau Hajar Shispa Hanyo Puar Teli Ki Bakershan Daka Sorkar Na kini Ki Khat Sau Hajar Sanspa Prapuar Teli Kiskul Ki Don Kumba Arspa Handu Teli Kiskul Ki Bymdon Watang Iwei Khynnah Skul Bat Ar Hajar Arspa Handu Khandai Teli Pat Ki Dei Ki Badan Khynnah Tang Hapok Khandai Ngut Hendai Ka Sorkar Ka Hab Ban Siu Yakatulop Jong Kinong Hikai Hakum Ki Dei Kiskul Na Kiskul Deficit Bat Ad Hoc Kiskul Bymdon Khynnah Ki Don Khat Prateli Bat Ki Badan Hapok Khandai Ngut Ki Khynnah Pat Ki Don Hadu Shihajar Shispa Saphuai Teli Nangta Na Kiskul SSA Pat Ki Bymdon Khynnah Ki Don Lai Phau Teli Bat Ki Badan Khynnah Tang Hapok Khandai Ngut Ki Don Arspa Handu Prateli Bat Na Kiskul Sorkar Kiskul Ki Bymdon Khynnah Skul Ki Don Khatway Teli Bat Ki Batang Hapok Khandai Ngut Pat Ki Don Hadu Shispa Lai Phu Ar Teli Hakabede Bagajing Siu Tulop Shakinong Hikai Ka Sorkar Ka Pendut Hadu Shihajar Khandai Spa Handu Punyo Kulur Tingka Shisnam Kata Khandai Spa Khatnyo Kulur Ka Badai Shakinong Hikai Hagi School Private Bakershan Ka Sorkar Lani Ki Grant in Aid Private School Teachers Shakinong Hikai School Sorkar Pat Kumba Handu Spa Prapusau Kulur Tingka Batlai Spa Handu Pundu Kulur Shakinong Hikai School SSA Hakawi Pat Kalyang Menteri Rangba Ula Penpau Ka Jing Sngokhya Baka Pass Percentage Naka Exam Secondary School Living Certificate Haki Shipos Nam Baladap Kamla Bankot Watang 100% Ru Ule Thu Bakidon Shispa Arpusau Teli Kiskul Ki Baklemdon Bapas Hausnam Arja Arpusau Shispa Saupundu Teli Hausnam Arja Arpulai Shispa Khat Pra Teli Hausnam Arja Arpuar Bat Lai Pundu Teli Kiskul Ki Baklemdon Bapas Haki Laisnam Baladam
of schools and each category of course has got then different challenges that are there. So we have realized that, and slowly and steadily we are in the process of merging as many as possible. But again, the kind of classifications that have been made are just too many, and the kind of salary, benefits, and grants that are being given to different categories are different in nature. And hence, even if you want to now merge two of them, or three of them, which is what we would want to do ideally. But then comes the financial impact of that decision, because then you have to come up with a unified, pay scale or or salaries or whatever there is. To draw your attention again, just go back to the presentation. Just to again share with you. So now we have this one, the private school number 5. Yeah, so this says a lot, So most of the categorization is in the private schools, and as I said again, we spend about 917 crores giving salaries for these private schools. These are not owned by government. I keep repeating, the basic categorization of schools is only the government schools, SSA schools, and all the rest of the schools are private schools. SSA is more or less government type. It's government, central government and state government funded, and the assets also belong to the state government. But in terms of those private schools, which I mentioned up top, these are purely privately managed, privately owned schools. The assets are owned by the private managing committee. The school is run by them. The managing committee also is majorly constituted of the private entity. But government supports them in terms of salaries, money to be given to them to run their school. So we pay some part of the salaries. If it's deficit, then we give a certain pay scale. If it is ad hoc, then we pay a certain grant. Now within these also there are multiple categories of schools which are there. And as I said, trying to bring 2-3 categories together means that we'll have to see the benefits and the perks and the salaries we're giving then we'll have to give the standard to all of them. And once we start doing that, the impact of that goes to hundreds of crores. So therefore, the decision is not so simple. What I'm trying to say is that even now, without touching these things, we're still paying 917. If we were to bring a uniformity, that number may go up to about 1,500 crores. So that's the kind of a decision that we have to think of. I'm not saying it'll be 1,500, but I'm just giving you a number, plus minus it could be. But that's the challenge in actually coming to a decision like that, because it has huge financial implications.
How long it will take to categorize?
Enrollment. So right now, there are 206 schools which don't have a single student. And yet, salaries are being paid for the teachers who are supposed to teach in those schools. There are 2,269 schools with just single digit enrollment, which means there's only one student or two students or three students studying there, and we could be having close to 4 teachers teaching out there, and government is paying salaries, whether it's a government aided school or whether it's a government school. Next. Similarly, this is the aided school. These are the deficit and ad hoc schools. So there are 18 government aided schools which are deficit and ad hoc schools where the enrollment is 0 right now, and 1,141 schools where we give aid, deficit as well as ad hoc. Exact breakup is not here right now, which have single digit enrollment. So those are for government, those are all the schools. These are for specifically government aided schools. Again, just to give you an idea that a large number of schools, some of them don't have. So 206 schools don't have a single student. Yet today, government of Meghalaya is paying salaries for the teachers. Next. There are 30 SSS schools which don't have a single student studying there, and 268 schools with single digits. This is the amount of money that we spend for the education salaries we pay to teachers every year. Totally, we pay 1,967 crores are paid as salaries for teachers in the state government. Out of this 1,697 crores, I think I'd like to draw your attention to the first row, which shows that the private schools, again, I just reiterate, private schools, we mean government aided schools, GIA is government aided schools. These are schools basically which are again ad hoc and deficit schools. So the grants that we give amounts to 917 crores that we give annually. And the government teachers we pay 684 crores. So government schools teachers we pay lesser means the numbers are lesser. So the amount that goes into paying the teachers there is lesser because of the fact that the number of schools in the private, the aid that we give is much larger. So you can see out here that so SSA is about 366 crores. So government aided schools gets close to about 50% of the budget that we spend. 35% goes to government schools, and SSA gets about 18% of the budget in terms of salaries that we spend. Next. This is just to give an idea to you about the colleges. So again, these are government aided colleges. So private colleges where we give aid to, that means financial support, again deficit pattern, ad hoc pattern. 83% of that goes to this private colleges that are there in our state. Again, you can see the amount goes to about 179 crores a year in terms of salaries. Government colleges, the salary is only 37 crores. These are all government aided colleges, the larger colleges in and around Shillong. Most of these colleges are around Shillong. I have the list with me, but I don't want to share that with you right now. So these are the colleges that are there. So we pay, government pays, as I said, and out of these 179 crores, 13 of the private colleges get 121 crores from government of Meghalaya every year for salary payment. Every year. Next. Well, this is a sad picture. This is what's been happening in the last many years from 2015 to 2024. This is the average pass percentage. We've been trying our best. It's a systematic problem that we faced. We try to go into the depth of why this is happening, and we realize that everything from the issues of the quality at the primary level, secondary level, all those, and upper primary level, all those issues were there, and many other issues were there, which we are working on. The course materials that is there, making it better, the examination patterns. So after examining all of these things, we have come to a point. We're hoping that in the coming exams and the future exams also, at least we'll be able to see some improvement in these numbers. But this is what is very critical to note. And what my concern here, of course, is that if you look at this, about 50%, that means close to about, as I said here, if you can see, almost about 25,000 students, they don't pass the metric exam. And you can imagine not passing a metric exam, what kind of emotional as well as, a career kind of damage that goes to them. So we're very concerned about this and we'd like to see these numbers go up. So I just wanted to share this with you to express the challenges we face. It's been hovering around this for the last decade. Next. Again, this is another figure. 2022, 118 schools, we had 0 pass percentage. 2023, 146 schools, we had 0 pass percentage. 2024, 124 schools had 0 pass percentage. That means not a single student from class 10 passed. And out of these schools, 36 schools are there. For the last 3 years, they've not had anybody who passed, in spite of whatever support we've been giving to them. So these are facts and figures. Again, this is nothing to, I should say, nothing to discuss about, but I think this gives a slight picture, of what kind of a situation that is there and how much money is being spent in which sector, and how we are now trying to, with this kind of a background, we are trying to take very, very tough decisions, difficult choices that we have to make in order to move forward in how to improve the overall education sector. So this is just information. I will share this with you. I think it's the last slide. Next. If I simply go into private, as I said, all the rest are private. But now if I were to bring all the privates together in one category, the impact would be in hundreds of crores. And so the decision is very simple. I can do it right now. But then where do I get the budget from? When we're already paying 917 crores here and not being able to, and then seeing the rest of the amounts are lesser, it's a tough decision. It's a tough call. And therefore, we are working, we are discussing, we're seeing how we can come to some kind of a conclusion. Maybe we may have to go in a phase-wise manner. Maybe we may need to restructure the whole thing. But we are in talks, and then we are trying to discuss with different organizations how to go about it. Now, if you were to, as I said, deficits get higher, the ad hoc grants are lower. So should I bring the deficit down or should I bring the ad hoc up? Both are equally challenging. Both will not agree. Now, even if I bring both of them up, so if I bring the ad hoc to deficit, that's going to lead to a financial implication of about 250 plus crores. So we already at 917, we're talking of 1100 crores to 1200 crores. So that's the kind of impact that is there. So it's not as simple. So all I'm trying to say is that all of these things, thought process has been going on for a very long time. But I thought it's good to share this data so that one understands. So tomorrow when somebody says we're not being given this, that, you'll understand the scale that we are talking about. It's massive. This is the highest ever. Imagine if it's 917 crores amount, the amount of infrastructure works that we can do. Of course, I mean, schools need it. I'm not saying that we don't need it. We do need it. But I think somewhere along the line, we need to see how we can efficiently utilize all of this. So the amount of money we spend, maybe the results we're getting are not up to the mark. So therefore, we have to work a lot. We'll work with all private schools, government schools, SSS schools, and we'll see how to move forward in it. Again, as I said, I repeat once again, there is no conclusion in this. I'm just giving you facts for your knowledge.
All this
What the government
Just finger at just one number and say that it's the reason why the education overall thing is down. The plus side of having higher number of schools is that our student-teacher ratio is one of the best in the country. But even after having that kind of first infrastructure, the issue arises, why aren't we getting the results that we need? So when you go down into details of all of that, the different aspects of, say for example, untrained teachers. Now I didn't put the slide for untrained teachers right now. So, but we do have in most of the private schools that are there, we still have teachers who are trained, but according to the Government of India's norms, a certain classification has to be achieved, certain certification has to be given, which keeps changing. So as per the latest norms, close to about 40% of our teachers are still not fully trained as per the curriculum. They are trained, but not as per the standards of Government of India. We had issues with attendance. Now, for example, this private schools. Now, I cannot monitor the private schools' attendance. I cannot monitor the private schools' buildings. We're already giving the salaries for them. Now, their building is not enough. Their infrastructure is not enough. Maybe they don't have enough space. The teachers, some of them are not having the full certification as per government norms. So many factors come into the ultimate result of what we see in terms of the rankings that we face. Now, we had an issue with our rankings also because of the standards we were following. Why did we go for NCERT, maths and science and social science and some other and English? The reason we went for that is because most of the criteria based on which the accreditation is done, the ranking is done, is based on some standards that are put in by based on the NCERT norms and the guidelines, and we were not following those. So in that itself led to almost about 30-40% decrease in our marks in terms of the ranking that we got. That prompted us to change the books that MBOS follows, at least in subjects which are universal in terms of the theory, like mathematics, like science, like some areas of social science, some areas of English mostly, yes. So these kind of things we are following. So therefore, to answer your question in short, it's not very simple, it's complicated. We can't just simply say that because we have 14,000 schools, that's why we're doing so bad. You cannot just jump to a conclusion. It's much more complicated than that. But yes, it's left to discussion whether that is something that we need to look at. But as I said, this is a problem or legacy that has built up in the last many years, decades I should say, and but now we stand with this massive problem in front of us.
But why is the present government facing the brunt, despite the problem having, inherited, right, for many years, having such number of schools being sub.
But it continues.
No,
that is what we call.
As if the problem is being created only now.
No, thank you for saying that. But the problem is not created now. It has been there for the last many years, and it's been building up for decades. All we have done is that we have put a lid on it now. We're not allowing it to get any bigger. That's why a lot of complaints still come to us about not giving the permissions. And just to share with you, we had recently come out with guidelines saying that schools that apply for ad hoc grant or deficit grant, just to share with you, before the guidelines that we came out with, there were no guidelines on the basis of which a school would be given ad hoc grant. So simple things like we said that if it's a school in the city, these many acres or square feet of land should be there. If it's in rural areas, this many square feet or things should be there. These are the number of qualified teachers you should have. This is the kind of building that you should have. These are the kind of technology that you should be having, and you should be having the parent-teacher meeting and the administration meeting on a regular basis. Then reports of that should be sent to the state government. So we came out with norms that would identify the basis on which we would select schools to be given ad hoc grants or deficit grants. These guidelines should have been made many years back. So sometimes in some places, some ad hoc grants were given, as you said correctly, on the basis of whatever desire an individual had at the point where it was in the political circle then. And permissions were given and ad hoc grants were given. There could be some schools which had just 2 students and just was functioning from one room, and they would also be given ad hoc grant. So those kind of things happened. Again, I don't think it's in any way worth now going into why that happened and it should not have happened. We can keep complaining about it. I think what's important to figure out is what do we do about it. Therefore, we are in the process. I am sharing this with you just to share with you the scale of and magnitude of the problems that we face. And we are, in fact, for the last many years, why we came up with the Education Commission. The Education Commission, when they saw these numbers, even they were taken aback. And more numbers than this, which I'm not sharing with you, more micro details, which again, if you see, you'll be even more surprised. But this is just a thing. So can we go next now?
Sir, so one last question.
These are challenges. Again, I have put these facts and figures right in front of you, and we are discussing about this. Education department has been speaking. There have been multiple views from all angles. Sometimes, of course, enrollments are an issue. We have to consider the distance. We have to consider the villages, the interiors. So all these areas are there. So in a particular year, enrollment may not be there. Next year, it may be there. So suppose we close that school, is it going to then deny some students? Because even if there's a single student or two students, we still have to give that opportunity for them to study. So, but can we figure out a way in which we can somehow rationalize things and maybe merge it with another ad hoc school, allow the students to come in there? Will the ad hoc schools agree to that or not? Because it's a private school. So like that, there are a lot of internal challenges that are there. So when you look at just the basics, it looks very simple, but it's far more complicated because then we have to see so many other factors that come into the picture. So, but as I said, the idea was doing this presentation was to give you a glimpse of how complicated education can get, and it's not so simple to decide on these things because there are so many multiple ramifications.
From this we can make out political. Okay,
Politics
so
should
will
not
you be taking a
interfere.
political decision, though there will be fallout?
No, see, the thing is that, let me just say one thing, at least during our time, there was no new category that was made. So, that much I can say. All these were already there when we came in. And so, therefore, it is a process in which we'll have to see how we're going to do this. It's not about only political ramifications. It's about looking at all the practicality of things, financial ramifications. Otherwise, as I said, it's very easy for me to just say that, okay, fine, we'll do all of this immediately. That would be politically motivated, as you said correctly. And I'll just simply go ahead and I'll say, look, we'll just make everybody government from now on. But then that's the implication of maybe 1,000 crores. So how do we do it? How do we achieve that? So therefore, it's not so simple. So as I said, I have made this statement 100 times before in the past, that there are too many entangled knots in the education system. I have to untangle them one by one, piece by piece. And this is the reason why I have to do it, because it's so delicate, it's so sensitive, and it's so large scale that even one push out here could have a huge ramification financially for the entire system. And that's what we face, and that's why we're facing the challenges in education system. So we are working on it, just to share you and bring you on closer to reality of what's happening, so that you understand every time you ask a question, this is there at the back of your mind, that thing that, well, that's the kind of scale you're looking at. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, guys.
Sir, your school with zero enrollment and single digit.
Yeah.
So before coming to that, on this.
These are schools. These are ad hoc schools. These are deficit schools. And they are doing their job. So you cannot deny that. You cannot say that they are not doing anything. They are working. They have a responsibility. They are fulfilling their responsibility. It's not that they are not. And we don't have any complaints against them. There are some who are doing excellently well. Some they need to work a bit better and improve. Similarly, government LP schools also need to improve. So they're doing exactly what government schools do, which is to provide education. As I said, so therefore there's nothing wrong in this. Again, I repeat again and again. So don't quote me wrong when I say that this is the problem. This is not the problem. I'm just telling you the facts, that's all. But then one should know that this is the amount of money that goes into running the education system. So the ad hoc schools, deficit schools are doing a great job. They are really giving the education to the children. As I said, some are doing excellently well and some not that great. But somewhere along the line, after doing all of this, and as I said, this is a legacy, it built up. So when I used to tell you all the time that, guys, there's a problem in education because it's something that has been building up for many years, you couldn't relate to it. Because you said, again, Conrad is blaming the past government. So I'm not trying to blame. I'm bringing you facts now to show you that this is what the situation is. And again, we need to work together. All schools, whether it's government or private schools, wherever it is, we need to figure out ways in which we can improve the overall performance, focus on the students more, and really see how we can take the education sector forward. So again, reiterating, these are the challenges and the scale that we face, but a lot of work has to be done. No complaints against anybody. Everybody is doing their job. All ad hoc schools, private schools also are doing their work. Some not that good, some very good.
So, but the main concerns of parents,
think that,
whether government will come up with a uniform.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gray area. It's a gray area. So a lot of debate has taken place in this regards. And again, we want to share this information so that people are aware about what is happening, and we will see how it goes. We will see about the fee structure, because again, the autonomy of the schools is there in the sense that they are private schools, and so they have the autonomy to decide in one way. But then the question comes in that government is aiding in the salary, so government should have a say. Now, if you just simply go ahead and say that do it, this is a salary, then some schools may complain saying that why are you interfering in our overall admission fees, blah blah blah. So all these challenges are there, but I'm just saying that those things I'm not discussing with you right now, because those are things that we are moving along the way, and we will see how to address those issues, because there are concerns we have to see from the school side, from the college side. We have to see things that are there from the student side, and we have to see what government is doing. Somewhere along the line, hopefully we'll come to a meeting point where we can then come and have some kind of a better structure to this. But I think it's too premature for us right now to give you any kind of conclusion in that. Increase that amount, says, I don't have the exact figure with me right now in terms of the percentage, but roughly the collection increased to about 70 to 80 crores. That cess money is being used for the education mission. It is with that money now that we are building the government LP school buildings. So I don't have that presentation right now. I'll give it to you next time. So we'll continue this education presentation next time. But you know that there are about 2,000 plus LP schools, government LP schools, and we have either renovated or we have sanctioned new buildings for all of them in the last 6 years. All of them. And that is the money has come from the cess that you mentioned. In the past, it was never utilized for education or for building grants, but we started it. And now with the help of that money, almost all the government LP schools, again, grant in aid, we're giving them salaries, but the buildings we are not giving. Buildings I give once in a while from, say, my CMSDF scheme, or if they ask for some grants which we give from, say, central government once in a while. But there's no uniform grant for schools which are private in nature. It is ad hoc and deficit. We don't have the money. We don't have a building grant for them as of now. But right now, but as I said again, not to say that they are not doing the job. They are doing a great job, but the scale is massive.
So, sir,
When we catch up again next week, when we're sitting down here and having tea again, you can ask me more questions about this. So I'll be sharing these numbers with you. Then I may give you more numbers next week also, but I'll leave you with these thoughts. So this is the first slide. It's difficult to say because, as I said, I keep repeating that this problems that we are facing in education is not something that's just come up today. It's been building up for the last many decades. So there is no one reason, and as I said, my purpose of showing this to you is not to complain or to say that that our problem is much bigger. Why it happened and how it happened is happened through the years. So it's really difficult for us to say that it happened because of this reason, that reason. It's just continuous process of schools being brought in. After schools being brought in, you can see that almost 4,000 plus schools are private schools which are getting almost close to 917 or 18 crores in terms of aid from the government, which are the deficit and the ad hoc pattern schools. So these are real numbers, is what I'm trying to say. Is it good or bad? Again, it's not something I'm trying to tell you that whether it's right or wrong. Absolutely not. I'm not trying to complain either. Nor am I saying that the more schools we have is a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing for us. And giving the money to the aided schools, they're doing their job. They're doing their responsibility. They are also, educating students. So it's happening. But I think it's important to understand the background as to how much we spend on it. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying which is right, what is wrong. I think as we move along, we will see. But it has been in the past many, many years, decades, that situation has become so complicated. So today, with 50,000 plus teachers, for us to even decide a 10 rupee or 50 rupee hike or 100 rupee hike has crores of impact on us. I mean, just to give say 50,000 teachers are there. So even if I were to increase 10 rupees in terms of salary, that's like 5 lakh rupees a month impact, on us. And if I increase that by 100 rupees, that's a 50 lakh impact. If I increase by 1000 rupees, that's a 5 crore impact. So just to show you the scale of things, how complicated it is for us to maneuver through these massive challenges to be able to come out with something that's better or to improve the system is not so simple as it may seem, is what my objective of showing this presentation to you. I'm not drawing to any conclusion. Please, I want to again reiterate, I'm not drawing to any conclusion, nor am I saying this is right or this is wrong, nor am I saying that we have too many schools. So all of this is something that we'll have to go into detail and see whether it's a good thing to have so many schools, because obviously we have a good teacher-student ratio then, so that's a good thing. But then the quality of the teaching has to be looked into. So this is merely effort from my side to at least share some factual figures of what Meghalaya is and the education sector is compared to the other states. I'm not saying anything about who's right, who's wrong, who's blamed to be blamed, nor am I saying anything about too many teachers or too many schools. We need teachers, we need schools. It's a good thing to have these schools, but it's a large number and we have to manage this. As I said, we're spending more on government aided schools than on our own government schools. That's also a matter of big challenge for us. As I said, I showed you close to 1,000 crores is being spent on private schools, that is ad hoc and deficit schools, who are doing their part, as I said, but a large amount of money is going in terms of salaries to them. So that's really the purpose of this presentation.
Okay,
Sir, only
For new schools, those who apply for new, they have to follow those guidelines. There is a debate within the cabinet, within our officials, everybody, that whether we should apply that for past, retrospect also. So therefore, that aspect is not yet binding, but we are hoping that these guidelines will now set the standard for things, and we will start somewhere along the line where at least some kind of accountability should be there. So how do we start, where we start, and what scale we start is something we will see. But yes, it will slowly, I'm not saying that we're going to immediately implement everything, but like say for example, starting off with schools which have no zero enrollment, what do we do about those? What about schools which have got zero pass for the last 3 years consecutively, and still we are paying for 3 teachers, 4 teachers, grants going up to 1, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs per month. So these are things, matters of concern. And but how can we utilize the overall service out there at that level of those teachers in a productive manner without affecting their personal livelihood, you can say, or their personal individual employment that is there, but yet make them productive by rationalizing things. Those are really the challenges, and I think that's the right way to move forward. So we'll be able to, just by restructuring a few things, by just placing a few things in front, few things at the back, without really dismantling too much, I strongly feel that we can easily increase the overall efficiency by a large percentage, and that's really what we are going to be doing. So I don't want to go into details, but as I said again, repeating myself, this is just to give you a small glimpse of things. Next, let's get